Okay, so first review of the day is going to be for the film Psycho Killer. Psycho Killer is a movie directed by Gavin Polian. There, it's written by Andrew Kevin Walker. Now, Andrew Kevin Walker, this movie's being touted is really big because the writer of this movie, Andrew Kevin Walker, is the writer of Seven, and obviously Seven is one of the greatest thrillers ever. There, really really amazing movie. And then he also wrote The Killer as well, which was another David Fincher movie here. So he writes this. And it seems, looking at his resume, it seems like Gavin, this is his first directorial debut. This is his first feature film here. And it seems like his other work includes mostly TV. He's mostly done like directed episodes of like Curb Your Enthusiasm. And this movie is starring Georgina Campbell. And what is happening in this movie? Well, you have a character here who's a state trooper there who she's married to another state trooper. And while her husband there is pulling over a guy and for a routine kind of traffic stop there, or he pulled over his car and then the guy kind of was wondering like, well, why'd you pull over your car? The guy in the car ends up killing him. And the guy that ends up killing her husband is the Satanic slasher there. And then from that point on, Georgina Campbell is on a mission to get this guy, catch him, and take him down. And he's this, infamous serial killer that's been going around all around the interstate, killing a bunch of people. So it's also this huge motivation to catch this guy from not only her, but the FBI and other law enforcement there. So, like I was anticipating this movie, looking forward to it coming into the movie because of, like you said, writer of Seven kind of going like that. And I want to know, because two of his better movies have been directed by David Fincher, that maybe it was maybe a combination of the like David Fincher knows how to direct his scripts, and that's what it is. He's also been a writer on things like The Wolfman, the 2010 movie, which was all right. It was fine. That's the Benicio del Toro Wolfman movie. He's also done Windfall. He's also done our Nerdland there. I have not heard of those before, but Sleepy Hollow was also a movie he did. That's the Johnny Depp film, which it's fine. So I want to know if it's maybe with a movie like this. I mean, David Fincher being your director for anything is automatically going to bump it up, a good amount of ratings just because of a masterful director he is. But the biggest issues with this movie, it is very formulaic. It is very generic there. But none of it's executed very properly or executed in an exciting manner. The whole thing with, the killer in this movie, and I saw Georgina Campbell give interviews and saying that, this is kind of one of the rare times where, we'll see where the killer and the final girl get equal amount of screen time. But the killer is not that interesting. The killer that you have here, first of all, is a generic name. They call him just mainly the slasher. That's what they call him. Just the slasher. Let me pull up some photos of him here. But that's mainly what they only call him. And that's not a very good name. Yes, you do spend some time with the killer, but I don't feel like, he's really kind of super generic. He just kills people in the name of, I guess, Satanism. I don't feel like you really know a good amount of his motivation or why he's doing the things that he's doing there. And it doesn't kind of get interesting with his character until the very end. And that's kind of a spoiler. But the people who've seen the movie know what I'm talking about of certain thing that happens at the very, very end of the movie. But this is the guy right here. Oh, no, sorry about that. This is it right here. So this is kind of his whole look. He kind of wears like this kind of gas mask, kind of gimp kind of mask looking thing there. He almost looks like, to me, he reminded me a lot of like the Hard Eyes Killer. That movie, if people remember that movie, let me pull up that movie. He kind of looked a little bit like that killer. And Hard Eyes is a much better movie than Psycho Killer, I think, because I think with Hard Eyes, it actually knows what it is and knows what it's trying to be. This movie surprised me quite a bit because it was like, okay, it's actually funny. It's actually good satire on the slasher kind of genre, but it kind of reminded me he looked a lot like the Hard Eyes Killer. I was like, but the Hard Eyes Killer actually had a little bit of a personality, even than him and kind of who was revealed to be the killer in that. And when you figure it out, but yeah, the killer's not very interesting. Her whole kind of tracking this guy down, the fact that this guy also has the FBI on him as well. And also there's something that really dumb that happens with his name and everything like that in it of how he's moving around that is kind of a spoiler, but I don't want to get into that because that's also kind of a spoiler there. But it's like it feels like they should have definitely caught this guy, by now. And so I don't know if they're trying to make him like he's this force of nature type figure, like Jason, or they're trying to make him a more like again the masterful kind of job they did with the villain portrayal when you had Kevin Spacey in Seven, where his whole motivation was he was basing it off of the seven deadly sins, right? And a lot of these very eerie and creepy kind of scenes there where you had it, these killings and the way they were staged, are very, very disturbing and very interesting. And there's really none of that in Psycho Killer whatsoever. If you're expecting that to see something like that with this movie. So, and it feels like at times it feel like it should be a little bit more goofier, even though it's not trying to be, because it's not really succeeding with the serious tone of it. Georgina Campbell, who, like I liked and people might recognize her, she was in Barbarian. I thought she did really great in Barbarian. And she's going to be in another movie I'm going to be talking about pretty soon, Cold Storage there. I think that I think she's fine in it. I think that her is like this determined, state trooper and this person who's, looking for the killer and how she's kind of piecing these things together. Um, I feel like the FBI should have been able to do that already, and should have had that a lot of this information already and do it, like how she's able to gather this stuff. I thought was a little kind of just kind of little convenient. I thought there. So yeah, I mean, and the pacing of it is very rushed. Like how she's able to like this guy's been on the run, like he's had all this spree of killings and been on the run for a while. And the fact that she's able to track down this guy so fast is very like I said, it's like, okay, like this movie's not very long, so we got to really, fast track this thing a lot. So the pacing of it is also super rushed and super fumbled there, so it doesn't really build any tension. I didn't really think the killer was, if you're trying to build like this great thriller and be kind of scary or intense or edge of your seat, it fails on that element as well. So it fails on the main core elements that it's supposed to do on almost every level, so it's hard to really recommend this movie to anybody or say like, "Oh yeah, you definitely need to check it out." Um, yeah, so for me, I would just kind of give it. I think I just give it a skip it. I give it a skip it for me, not a burn it, not a waste of film, just kind of a plain kind of skip it there for me. So yeah, that was my thoughts on Psycho Killer there.